Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or wherever you are. If you're in Ghana, I should be saying good morning. If you're in Nigeria, I should be saying good morning. So good afternoon to any other person, or good morning to any other person, wherever you are in the world. We have quite a lot of people from different parts of the world on this training. My name is Morolaya Egeleke, and I'll be the one. I'm not the trainer, I'm the facilitator here today. So it's a pleasure to have you. If you can hear me, please could you just kindly type 11 on your chat. Just say 11, because I want to be sure that you guys are hearing me right now. If you can hear me, okay, I have one or two people saying 11. Just type number 11, just quickly, so that we can quickly move on from here. We have a long day ahead of us, and it's going to be an exciting day. Thank you very much for all of you that are responding. I'm sure you can all see my screen. So I'll quickly just run through what we have for today, and then I will invite you to our next, to our lecturer who will take over from here. The company is called Integrated Institute of Professional Management. And today we're having our Health, Safety, and Environment Management professional course. We're accredited with the Society of Human Relations Management, SHRM, at the USA. So we are an accredited system. Now, please, just some few home rules, some rules that we should follow. Important to note is that this is a professional development class, not a seminar. So this is like school. Please pay attention. Have your paper, your notes, your biros, your pens, whatever. Try and take some notes. Try and pay full 100% attention. The whole essence is impartition of knowledge and a certification that you can actually do what is being taught here. The class section, this section is going to last for a maximum of 1.5 hours, maximum. So this particular session will last for 90 minutes. There might be a 5 minutes break here and there, just to give everybody a breather. Then also each participant is to mute their mics to avoid distraction. You might have some background noise that might be disturbing the lecturers. Please mute your mics. Now, questions are permitted after the class. Every class we go through, we get people asking us questions about the course during the class, which is not very good. We want to distract us, to distract the lecturer, to distract the coordinators. Please, let's do everything together in an orderly way after the class. Then also PowerPoint materials will be available for those going for the certification. So if you want the materials to be available for you, please. Then participation is 100% free. Training manual, certification, and examination are optional at discounted price. So this participation is 100% free. That simply means that all participants should be aware that the admission and training of this, admission and attendance of this training is 100% free. But the actual worth is 35,000, but we're giving to you for free. All HRM certifications are okay, now this is not for this class right now. Then the enhanced HSE capacity is what we're going to give you right now for coming to this workshop or to coming to this program. Enhanced HSE capacity, improved decision making, enhanced strategic capacity, and making you a high performance leader. These are the 4 major things you should please look out for in this course. What to expect: quality delivery, enjoy quality professional delivery, learn with practical case studies via videos, open questions and answer sessions, an opportunity for international certification. These are the 4 major things to expect from this course. Now, let me just run through what IIPM is all about. IIPM actually means Integrated Institute of Professional Management. So we're an institute, a professional institute for certification of courses. So IIPM is legally registered professional training and certified institute with international reputation, providing training, certified certifications, and also membership, consulting, and HR service. IIPM International is legally registered by the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria. Our number is CACRC 1257013. Our accreditations: IIPM is accredited by the Federal Ministry of Education, Nigeria, and the Society for Human Resource Management in the USA. So we have, in that sense, we can offer 2 different kinds of certificates. Affiliations, IIPM is in affiliation with Professional Evaluation and Certification Board, Canada, accredited by the International Accreditation Services, IAS, USA, for ISO international certifications. Partnerships. IIPM International is in partnership with National Youth Service Corps, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, University of Lagos, Akoka, and finalizing MOU with Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Akoka. This is like our board of directors, or our board itself. IIPM board is headed by our Director of Membership and Partnership, which is Professor Pio Uvere. Barrister PN Wachuku Esquire is our Director of Personnel. Our Director of Advisory is Dr. Engineer Chris Mullen. Director of Consulting is Dr. Olanrewaju Phillips. Our Director of Operations, who also doubles today as our lecturer for today, is actually Banito Eburuche. The strategic partner operations, who is going to be online also with us today, he might or he might not say anything, is Dr. Chidike Namani. Myself, I'm the strategy partner consulting, Morola Gileke. We also have another partner who is going to be online with us again today, and that's Engineer Dixon Chukuma. He's the strategic director or strategic partner operations. So from what we can see, our lecturer for today, his name is Eburuche Banito. He's the president, LAF program director, LAF Global and program director, IIPM. He's a multifaceted professional management consultant and trainer with key competencies in management, business entrepreneurship, and leadership development. He's a high-performance business strategist with unequaled leadership and communication skills. He has excellent skills and working experience in strategic management, organizational design and development, behavior modeling, customer relations, strategic management, operations management, occupational health and safety, and executive leadership development. He specializes in helping businesses develop thriving business strategies and capacity development to meet up with the pace of change in the present day economy, while coaching and mentoring career persons and startup entrepreneurs. He has worked in the FMCG, engineering, consulting, and telecommunications industries. In a sentence, he's a high-performance consultant, value-driven trainer, prolific writer, and a transformational speaker. He's currently the program director of the Integrated Institute of Professional Management and the president of Lead Africa Foundation. So without any further delay, because we've delayed a little today, we're very sorry about that. I'd like to introduce our lecturer who have just rolled out his bio and his credentials, Mr. Banito Eburuche. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Banito, okay.
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Rolayo. You have been wonderful. Thank you for taking time to coordinate the class. Mr. Rolayo is a strategic partner as well as myself with the Integrated Institute of Professional Management. Nonetheless, I'm the program director in the Integrated Institute of Professional Management. Dr. Rolayo is the country manager or the country head for business development with UPS International. And we also have some other dignitaries here today. Some will be observing the class, some of our strategic partners here. I have Dr. Chidike, I have Engineer Dixon. Professor Uvere should also be around this class. Sure that I'm on course. So I will personally want to welcome everyone to this class. This is one of my best classes ever. Safety, health, safety, and environment is one of my best classes ever. This class is going to run till 3 o'clock because we are not going to have any other class in the, this class is going to run till 2 o'clock rather. We're not going to have any other class in the evening. So our class will resume on Sunday. Okay, our class will resume on Sunday. Please, there is a WhatsApp group created for this particular class to ensure that we take proper record and attendance. The CRO, who is also in the house, will post the link. So kindly click on the link and then be sure you join the group. If you've joined the group already, for those of us that confirmed our attendance, we sent the emails and we sent text messages to us. So if you've joined the group already, that's wonderful. But if you've not joined, please, it's important that you join the link. All right. Okay, quickly, please, if you can hear me, can you just raise your hand? If you can hear me, can you raise your hand a little? Just wave if you can hear me. If you can hear me, can you just wave? All right, thank you so much, Nuru. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so we're on the same page. All right, so I can proceed right away. Health, safety, and environment. It has been something that had been overlooked in most organizations. But we overlooking it is causing more problems to us as individuals, as an organization, is actually causing much more problems to us. So inevitably, we are going to take out the time to go through all of what safety is all about, and then we'll be able to know how to apply this safety practices and safety processes in the things we do, right from our houses up to our businesses. Okay. Some times ago, I was having a program. I went to buy something from a UK shop in Abuja, and I was wearing my safety ID. And the young man asked me, said, "Are you a safety officer?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You're a certified safety officer?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you the only one in Nigeria that is safety certified?" I said, "No." He said, "So how come there are always sachets of water laders all around the country?" And I didn't know exactly what to answer to him. Okay, so that is exactly the same thing that we see. So we see people bearing safety officers, but they cause more problem than safety. They are on themselves hazards. We talk about safety, but within our work environment, we find that everywhere is just hazardous. We have more injuries, we have more fatalities, more injury cases, and all of that. So how do we get to understand safety and let it become a culture, let it become a practice for us, not just to have the certificate, but to have the right culture of safety. So in this introduction class, which is primarily the level 1, we are going to go through the introduction to safety. Then we'll look at the slips, trips, and falls. We also look at the job hazard analysis. Then we'll look at hazard and effects management processes. We'll look at safety auditing, accident investigations. We will further look at first aid practice and look at cardiopulmonary resuscitations. And then we'll have other things. We'll look at risk management. We'll look at fire safety and every other thing that we'll be looking at in this class, all right? So we are going to run through this program. I won't be as that fast. Okay, I won't be as that fast. Now, there's an announcement that has been passed, and I please want everyone to understand this announcement. Whether you're applying for level 1, level 2, or level 3, please understand how this training works. If you already have safety level 2 or level 3, or level 2, you want to go for level 3, that's okay. But it is important that you attend level 1, 2, 3. That we are saying level 1 is 3 weeks does not mean that we'll run additional 4 weeks for level 2 and additional 5 weeks for level 3. No. Irrespective of the level you're coming in, you're to take level 1, 2, and 3. But should you wish to make payment, you're only going to make payment for the area that concerns you. So you're making payment. If you're level 3, you're making payment for level 3. If you're level 2, you're making payment for level 2. And if you're level 1, you're making payment for level 1. All right, that being said, while making your applications, our application portal was open to everyone. So there was no charges before application and all of that. So anybody had the right to choose any level he wanted without any consultation. But please, we would like to also remind you that we will have to do our own screening and publish, according to attendance, we have published the names of people according to the categories they fall into. Based on the qualifications and the experiences you've provided during your application, we'll be able to give you the breakdown of where you fall into, whether you fall into level 1 or level 2 or level 3. So that you apply for level 3 does not automatically qualify you for level 3 certifications until we are done with all the screening exercises, and then you see where you fall into. When you see where you fall into, if you feel like paying, you can go ahead and pay. If you feel like just having the knowledge, that would also be good. But after level 1, if you register for level 1, after level 1, you can take your break. Then we'll have 1 more extra week for those going for level 2. Then we'll have 1 more extra week to level 2 for those going to level 3. So in essence, the whole program from level 1 to level 3 is 5 weekends, except there are exceptions that may come in, of which, if there are exceptions, we'll communicate that within the class. And like I said, there is a WhatsApp group created for this particular class already. So the CRO has already uploaded the link. So all we need you to do is sign up and make sure that you're in that WhatsApp group. We'll take out the time to answer all the questions as soon as the WhatsApp group is open. At the moment, the WhatsApp group is locked, but join the group so that time for questioning, you can go ahead and ask your question. We can have all the time answer your question. We are always 24/7 online to attend to your issues. Okay, Mr. Adebola Adebumiti said he's not hearing me. Please, Dr. Rolayo, can you attend to him? Possibly he muted me from his end, so he can't hear me. So can you send him a private message to please unmute from his end? Make sure that his mic and his reception is okay. Okay, so thank you so much for coming. We are ending this class by 2 o'clock maximum. We are rounding up by 1:45 for lectures. And if you have questions, you have your questions till 2 o'clock, so that we can allow us to go and rest. We allow you to go and rest as also we go and rest. Okay, I'm going to open the floor for a moment. If you have questions, you can ask me, but I'm only going to take 2 persons. If you have a question to ask me, please, everyone, can you bring down your hand? For those that are hands already up, please, you can go ahead and bring down your hand, please. If you have a question to ask me, I will only take 2 persons, then we will hit it up with the class. Any question for me? Please, for those of us that our hands are up, when I say if you can hear me, if you have a question, raise your hand. If you don't have a question, please, you can bring down your hand. Yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. First person I have here is Alale Abbas Danladi. So I'm trying to unmute him. Can you please unmute yourself?
Okay, Alale Abbas Danladi, can you go ahead to your question, please?
You need to unmute himself first. Okay.
Yes, the mic is open. Oh, I think there is a network issue there.
Yeah, because he's communicating, but we can't hear him.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move over to Clement Chidiebere.
All right, Clement Chidiebere, can you please unmute yourself and let's hear from you?
Clement, we won't hear you until you unmute yourself.
Yes, please.
You need to unmute. Okay. Chukwa Gozian.
Okay.
Please, can you unmute yourself, Chukwa Gozian?
All right, Chukwa Gozian, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Please, my question is this. Concerning, you said we can proceed from level 1 to level 3, but my main concern is this: is there any way we can get the audio recording of this particular training? For example, when we went through the executive leadership training, I think then it was said that we're going to get the audio recording, but the slides were for those that will be paying for the certification, but I never received any link or anything through my email for such. So I don't know if it's also obtainable in this particular training. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Chukwa Gozie. the reason why you've not received the executive leadership training videos is because they are still working on it. And like I said, the videos were up to 8 hours, 9 hours, and it was a 4 days program. So it's not something that can be done in a second. So we are still working on it, and as soon as it's done, you'll get access to it. Likewise, what we are having here. So you have access to it. It may take some time, but definitely you'll get it. Okay, that being said, I just observed Engineer Dixon is in the house. So please, Engineer Dixon, can you say hello to the house as we move on to this class? Engineer Dixon.
Hello, I'm here. Hello to everybody. Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure saying hi to everybody. In fact, I'm so pleased to be associated here now.
Okay.
Good morning.
Thank you, Engineer Dixon. Engineer Dixon is the strategic partner on operations. So you'll get to hear more from him, especially for those of us that are into safety. He's a petroleum engineer. Okay, by practice and by study. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so can we quickly now go through what we have here? The lesson objectives we have here at the end of this training, participants will be able to define and explain the terms used in health and safety, terms like health, safety, accident, exposure, fatality, harm, hazard, housekeeping, HSE, near miss, PPE, restricted workers, risk, unsafe acts or unsafe condition. Then we'll have the safe working load. Then we'll have a lab as low as reasonably practicable. Then we'll have incidents. Then we'll also have other things we'll be talking about. Then we'll look at what health and safety is at work. And then we'll also look at the influences on health and safety. We'll look at the major causes of fatalities, injuries, and illnesses in the workplace. Then we'll look at slips, trips, and falls. We'll look at accident ratios. We'll look at costs and benefits of health and safety to employees and to employers. Then we'll look at the health and safety at Work Act of 1974. That's the Nigerian Work and Safety Work Act of 1974. You know, for your own country, you could go and find out what the Safety Work Act is all about. And I know the Safety Work Act is the same across all nations of the world. The Safety Work Act is the same. It depends on when your country adopted years. The Safety Work Act was actually initiated by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and it's a global concept that is applied to every country. So I don't know what your own country could call it. Okay, then we'll look at the job hazard analysis or the job safety analysis. Then we'll look at job safety instructions, and we'll also look at job hazard and effect management processes. Okay. All right. Then we also have the hierarchy of control measures, and then we'll look at the risk assessment matrix. Okay, before I proceed, I would like to say that health and safety at workplace is essentially about having the right risk analysis on hazards, on identified risk, on incidences within the organization, then trying to find out ways to handle these issues, right? So it's basically about risk assessment, understanding what the hazards are, understanding what the near misses are, understanding what the risks are generally, then having a control measure, mitigative measures to take care of these risks, all right? Okay, so that being said, let's see how far we can go. Some of the definitions we have here are things we already know, but for the sake of this class, we'll just go through this again. And for things that demand explanation, I will go ahead and explain them. So the first thing we have there is health, and we'll say that health is a state of well-being with the absence of illness or disease, okay? And I'm going to say something here. Sometimes when we say health, we only refer to living things. In most cases, when we say health, we refer to living things. But in the organizational concept, in the business concept, everything in the organization will look at them as living because they are all working together to ensure that there is production and there is performance. So when you say health in organization, when we look at HSE as it were in organization, we are not just looking at the employees, we are looking at the machines, the health and safety of the machines. We are looking at the health and safety of the revenue stream. We're looking at the health and safety of the business models of the organizational structures, of the people in the environment, and every other thing. So health and safety in this case is not just to human beings. It refers to basically everything. And let me give you a case of what I'm trying to talk about. If you are into manufacturing and your machine breaks down, obviously that machine is sick. That machine cannot result to any productive thing. So at that moment, that a particular machine is not healthy and is affecting the general productivity of your organization. And let's assume that the access gate to your organization, let's assume, is pulled down. Of course, if the access gate is pulled down, it's going to open you up to several risks that, like, your immune system in the native sense is broken. So in the health and safety concept we are talking about here, health is not just to people, to humans. Health is to every element in the organizations. And we have this acronym we call PEAR, P-E-A-R, PEAR. All right. The acronym simply says that health, safety applies to persons. That's P. Safety applies to the environment. Safety applies to the assets, and safety applies to the reputation of the organization. All right. So we'll call that PEAR, P-E-A-R. People, environment, assets, and reputation. All right. So these are the factors that are being affected by safety in the organization, and these factors can be internal or external factors. So the activities done or the activities not done can affect this category of elements being mentioned, right? Okay, then we'll have safety. So safety is the absence of risk or harm to these elements mentioned, and accident and unplanned or undesired events that can result in harm to people, property, or the environment. Okay, so if you look at the content here, it's not just referring to people only, but have people, property, in the environment. Okay, and if this is not well taken care of, it will affect the reputation of the organization. I'm very aware that I'm teaching an international community. As of the time I joined this class, we had registrations from over 15 nations. So if I draw inferences from my own part of the world, which is Nigeria, please, I would like for you to adapt such, or perhaps make some similitude to such in your environment. So let me give a case of a reputational safety hazard or reputational safety accident. For those of us in Nigeria, I don't know about Ghana and other African countries, whether they have Indomie there, but there are cases sometimes you hear in Nigeria, they'll tell you things like Indomie is killing people. Okay, and people be like, wow, Indomie is killing people. And I remember those days, I was in my second year in school, and it was all over that Indomie was killing people. Then I went to buy Indomie from a store, and the young man told me, said that, though I have Indomie, but I will not sell to you now because Indomie is killing people. And I was like, how? Did you do any test? Have you seen anybody it killed or the likes? These are some of the approaches that some competitors could use to tarnish the image of certain organizations, which will bring about reputational accident. But we have to pay attention to building our own reputation and also ensuring. Like one of those days that they said Indomie was killing people, one of the things that Indomie did as part of resolving the conflict was creating an effective communication system that the CEO of Indomie then had to come online and cooked Indomie online and ate for him to convince people that Indomie was not really killing people. All right. In this part of the country or in this part of the world, there is something we call suya. Okay, I don't know whether you have suya in your country, but there is something we call suya. It's produced from normal cow meat, right? Roasted cow meat, right? Okay, so sometimes you hear things like suya is killing somebody or killing people. You'll be like, how will suya kill somebody? And by the time you know it, people will start like, everybody selling suya, don't buy you. So you see, those kind of reputation, someone could say, okay, it wasn't a health implication on the person producing the suya. But if you look at the finance, if you look at the reputation, if you look at the revenue stream of the organization, you'll find that the health and safety had an impact on the reputation, on the revenue, on the person that is doing the job. The morale would have gone down, and all of those things need to be taken into consideration when dealing with safety. So safety is not just to people, it has to do with people, environment, assets, and reputation. So very important. Okay, so we'll now look at things, other definitions as exposure, which is the measurement of time during which a subject or the subject is at risk from a hazard. Okay. that will have fatality. I'm going to explain all these things as we go through some of the case studies that we'll go through in the class. Fatality, deaths due to a work-related incident or illness, regardless of the time between injuries or illness and death. Okay, in safety, someone could have an accident, a catastrophic accident, or a dangerous accident, a hazardous accident, but we don't really consider that as being fatal. Technically, an accident that does not result to a death, we don't really consider it as fatal. It can be catastrophic. It can be hazardous. It can be a risky accident and all of that. But if there is no death, we don't consider that as fatal. All right. Okay. Then we have harm. Harm includes death, injury, physical or mental illness, damage to property loss, or damage to property, rather, loss of production, or any other combination of this. All right. So harm could be anything in these categories. Then we have hazard. I would like us to understand the difference between hazards and risk, because in most cases we have a conflict between understanding hazards and risk. So as we go to the definition of hazard, then when we come to the definition of risk, I would like us to understand the difference between the two. Okay, and if there is anyone that is subservient to another, we'll find out in the differences. Okay. So I have hazard. My screen tend to be showing something else from your own screen, right? Okay, so let me be sure that we're on the same screen. Please, if what you're seeing on your screen is a harm hazard, can you just wave your hand? If you're seeing the screen on hazard and harm, can you?
Right now we cannot see that screen. We're only seeing the exposure fatality screen.
Okay.
Definitions of the terms used in health and safety.
Okay, so in that case, I need to be sure that you're seeing me. All right, thank you so much. Okay. So are you seeing my new screen?
Not yet. We're still seeing definition of terms used in health and safety.
Okay, so just give me a minute. Let me find out what's happened.
I think you should maybe you should shut down your screen and then do it again.
All right. Thank you for that advice.
Close screen.
All right, so can you see my screen now? Dr. Olayo, are you there? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, so
I'm sure everybody can.
If you can see my screen on harm and hazard, please, can you just wave? Sorry for that little obstruction. If you can see it, can you just wave? All right, thank you so much, David Adedeji. All right, so if David can see it, I'm sure every other person can see it. Thank you so much. Okay, so sorry for that. Okay, so I was trying to say something that there is a difference between hazard and risk, and in most cases there is always a confusion between what is hazard and what's a risk. So let's look at them, and as we define them, I would like us to have a clear difference between them. So a hazard is a source or a situation with a potential to cause harm, including human injury or ill health, damage to properties, damage to the environment, or a combination of these factors. Now, this is a definition of hazard. Now, according to ISO says that a hazard is anything or any situation that has the capacity to cause harm, if not controlled. Anything that has the capacity to cause harm, if not controlled. It can be an object, it can be an event. All right, so it can be a tangible something, it can be an intangible effect. It can be a tangible effect or intangible effect, right? So anything that has the capacity to cause harm, if not controlled, is a hazard. Now we have the HSE, which is the Health, Safety, Security, and Environment. Now we have near miss. What's a near miss? A near miss is an event where no contact or exchange of energy occurred and thus did not result in personal injury, asset loss or damage to the environment. And I'll give you an example. A near miss is an event that had the capacity to cause an accident but did not cause the accident. Let me use the football, the world of football as a case study. Sometimes you hear things like, it is, oh, it is. It would have become a goal, but it wasn't a goal. So it has the capacity, the ball had the capacity to enter the net, but it didn't enter the net. So there were other forces that led it not to enter the net. So that was an example of a near miss. And I've observed something actually. When people have near misses, they laugh and they feel like it's not really something serious. But in the workplace, the most dangerous hazard that you can ever have is a near miss. The most dangerous hazard you can ever have is a near miss. The reason being that a near miss has not shown you its full capacity. It has not told you the capacity of what it can do. It has not manifested itself for you to realize how dangerous it can be. So it is a bomb waiting for explosion. So if you don't take care of the sources of a near miss, you will end up having a hazardous workplace where injury is normal. Continuous injury becomes normal. All right. So we have to deal with sources of near misses. And please note, a near miss is a hazard. Okay, a near miss is a hazard, right? Okay, let's look at restricted work case, or what we call the RWC, a work-related injury or illness that renders the injured person unable to perform all normally assigned work functions during a scheduled work shift or being assigned to another job on a temporary or permanent basis on the day following the injury. Okay, so I will use a case to explain this. So let's assume I am a safety officer working with an assistant safety officer. And while working, I had an injury that took me off-site. The person that is assisting me would take over pending when I will come back from my treatment. That is called a restricted work case, where the person working gets an injury and the time that could have been lost is being saved by someone else taking in the job to stand in for the person, pending when the person will return back, right? So that's what we call a restricted work case. Now, we have what we call the lost time injury. I'm not sure I captured it here, but we have what we call the lost time injury, and we have the restricted work case. A lost time injury is a situation where someone is working and secures an accident that takes him off the job or off the workplace, and the work is not being carried out until he returns. So if you look at lost time injury, LTI, and you look at a restricted work case, you find that there is a lost time in LTI and there is no lost time in RWC. I hope you're following me. So in an LTI, the frequency, the higher the frequency of an LTI, the lower the performance of the organization. Okay, the higher the frequency of an LTI, the lower the performance, the lower the production of the organization. But with respect to restricted work case, the higher the RWC, we could have lowered efficiency, but production will still go on. So maybe instead of losing, let's say 1 hour, you produce 1,000 tons of your product. Under RWC, you could end up producing 999 tons. So you have some dropped efficiencies. But in an LTI, the higher the frequency, production is completely lost, efficiency is completely lost, and everything is put on hold. So I needed to understand this. And for those of us that are in the HR department, working as safety officers in the HR department, it is important to understand the importance of buddy system and the importance of job rotation in managing things like LTI. Because if you have a good team that is well equipped through job rotation, it's easy to adopt a buddy system where if someone is not really okay to attend to a course or to attend to a particular operation, someone else can take over that job pending when the person is back to work. All right. Okay, then we have the incident. And incident is in two categories. We have the accident and we have the near miss. So incident is an unwanted occurrence capable of causing or has caused occupational illness, injury, or death to persons, property damage, environmental damage, or loss or reputation of the company, right? Okay, so an incident can be an accident which has caused damage. An accident is any unplanned event that has caused damage. A near miss is any event or activity that has the capacity to cause an accident but did not cause an accident, right? So an incident has the two components in it. So it can be incident of accident or incident of near miss, right? Then we have the risk. Okay, so let's now understand the difference between a risk and a hazard. A hazard is any situation or anything that has the capacity to cause harm, right? If not controlled. Then a risk is a measure of the likelihood. I want us to get this. A risk is the measure of the likelihood that the harm from a particular hazard will occur, taking into account the possible severity of the harm. So risk is analyzing the possibility of a hazard turning into an accident or a near miss. So let me give you an example of a risk and a hazard. So you're sitting down on your seat right now. You're sitting on a hazard, right? The seat is a hazard, all right? But the probability that the seat will break is a risk. Your system, your network provider at this moment, they are all hazards. The probability that your network will go off is a risk. So risk is assessing the probability or assessing the uncertainty of an event occurring via a hazard. So in essence, risk is looking at events that are being caused by hazards, while hazards are looking at all the objects and situations that can cause harm. I hope I'm understood. Okay, quickly, let's look at unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. So you remember the story I shared when I started of me walking into a store in Abuja to buy something, and this UK company was asking me when they saw my safety license. They were like, "Oh, you're safety certified?" And I was like, "Yes." And they said, "So if you're safety certified, you're the only safety certified person in Nigeria?" I said, "No." And they asked me, they said, if you are safety certified and there are other safety certified people in Nigeria, why is it that the streets of Nigeria are filled with sachets of leather and non-biodegradables, and we have improper waste management systems, right? Okay, so we have safety certified people, but we have unsafe acts and unsafe environments or unsafe conditions. So we have people who are driven by what they do in the organization, and when they come out of the organization, they don't practice safety, right? So when you are in your organization, you know where to put the trash, you know where to put the waste, you know how to dispose the different kinds of waste that you generate from your organization. But the same kind of people doing such things in the organization, you see them when they are driving by the road, you see them throwing off banana peels, throwing off bottles of water, throwing off sachets of water ladders and all of those things. So it is like an undue consciousness that you work safe-wise in the organization, and outside of the organization, you don't value safety. For every time we perform an unsafe act, we create an unsafe environment. And for every time we create an unsafe environment, we have a global effect. It's not just to that environment you're looking at, it's a global effect, because every unsafe act and unsafe condition has effect on the environment, on the external environment. Okay, and I will also share this example. Maybe it could draw my point home. There was a particular brewing company in Nigeria. At the time, they were releasing their waste directly to the farmlands behind their factory, and there was no proper waste management system. Now, around 2004, a legal practitioner took that up because they observed that farm was becoming completely infertile, okay, because the waste were affecting the soil fertility. And he took it up, took some safety experts who went and did environmental impact assessment, and they found out that the waste the brewing company was discharging to the environment was affecting the soil fertility, and they sued that particular company to court, and they won the company. The company paid huge sums for ransom and to the farmers that were farming around there. Now, in 2008, I visited that particular company, and I was amazed with the kind of safety systems they had. They had a safety, currently they have a safety system that no single waste can escape from the factory. They completely convert everything to a product. Their waste now are raw material. And I'm going to give you an example of what they do. Take, for instance, their effluents, the carbon monoxide that they generate. They have a unit that transforms or that converts that carbon monoxide to a carbon dioxide, and they now use the carbon dioxide for carbonation of drinks. So that has saved them costs. Now, for their water waste, they have a super activated chlorinated chamber that every wastewater passes through, and by the time it is a 7-layer process. By the time the wastewater passes through the 7-layer of activated charcoal and other filters they put into another treatment of UV light and every other thing they put in place, the water will come out as a potable water that is drinkable. And that particular company today have trucks supplying that water to us in the market today, and we are drinking it, but we don't know the source of the water. Okay. Now, another important thing I saw in that organization that made so much wow to me was I asked them a question, because in mechanical engineering, they will tell us that efficiency cannot be 100%. So efficiency cannot be 1, right? Okay. So in this whole thing, there must be some waste deposit. That was the question I asked. Though you have some tightened processes that will get your water collected or liquid waste collected and all of such. So the question is it that there is no drop of any water at all or no liquid waste at all? And the waste manager took me to a place and he said, look at this place. I looked at the place. That was a wide farm, very big farm. And he said, all the waste that come out from this superchlorinated chamber goes to the catfish farm. So they use the wastewater from the superchlorinated chamber to water the catfish farm. Then I said, okay, if you're watering the catfish farm, so how do you dispose the water from the catfish farm? He said, the water from the catfish farm is already a manure, so they use it to fertilize their vegetable farm. So if you go to that company in most season, you find enough vegetable that they are selling to the villagers, you find enough catfish that they are selling, and all of those things. So what happened? They've been able to turn their unsafe acts to safe acts. For every time you have a safe act in your workplace or a safe working condition, you would have a way to improve efficiency and improve or increase your revenue streams. All right. They started with production of beer and the likes, but now they have multiple streams of products: water, fish, vegetable, and all of others. So unsafe act will reduce your work performance and all of that. Now, in a simple sentence, what is an unsafe act and what is an unsafe condition? Okay, an unsafe act is any action or inaction that deviates from the standard operating procedure of an organization. So, for instance, when you go to an oil and gas company, you see so many signages: do not smoke here, wear your mask, safety first, safety last, wear your boot before entering the gate, and all of those things. Ensure you wear your eye goggle and all of those things. Those things are safety procedures, and as you follow them, you're performing a safe act. Now, where they say do not smoke and you go about smoking, that is an unsafe act. They say wear your safety boot. You say this boot is heavy. So where you feel like the boot is heavy and you remove the boot and wear your slippers, should there be any accident that happens at that moment, the company will not be levied legally to bear the responsibility of the accident, because the person that the accident occurred to was performing an unsafe act. Okay, and I will give another example. Sometimes ago, I worked with USC Nigeria, the people that produce Gala, and I worked in the production room, right? Then I wasn't a safety officer, so I didn't really understand much of safety then. But I saw some things that were really amazing. For instance, in the morning, when you come, you go to the safety department and do your check-ins. that's the security department, and do your check-ins, and you're supposed to take your overall, wear your safety boots, and go to the production room. But most of us then, we just go to the safety house, sign in for coming, then we go to the restroom, still wear our pumps, wear our normal shoes, go to the production room, and then produce whatever we want to produce. At the end of the day, you'll find some people having injuries. I personally had some injuries, especially from the oven, because I was not wearing my glove. So while I was trying to work without the glove, I had an injury that took me off, right? So I had a restricted work case while I was working. All right. So whenever you perform an unsafe act, you're putting your life at danger, and you're putting production at risk, and you're putting the whole organization at risk, your organization and every other person around you. So you must always endeavor to follow the standard rules and regulations as regards to safety in your organization. And where there are unsafe safety policies, please, you have the right to report to the safety manager or to the HR department to be able to correct such safety rules. Then the organization can have a fair time. Then we'll have the man hours. Man hours is the total number of hours worked by workers in the workplace over a period. We actually paid based on our man hours. The man hours would have defined how long we are going to work, and the outcome of the how long we are working. The outcome of the how long will determine how much will be paid. All right. Then we'll have the safe working load. I talked about people, environment, assets, and reputation, right? Okay, so for every human being, he or she has his own safe working load. In level 2, we look at occupational safety, okay? And one of the things we look at in occupational safety is the safe working load as regards to weight lifting and things to carry and things not to carry. So for safe working load for a woman, the capacity of weight a woman is supposed to carry as load is different from the capacity of load a man is supposed to carry. Nonetheless, your height also as a person determines the kind of load you have to carry per time. Okay, so we look at the chart of the height and look at the chart of a particular body mass index that should be used to determine the safe working load of an individual. For some of us that are in the HR department and the safety department, most often during recruitment, you could have found out that we take data as such data as your height, your weight, your body mass index, your blood group, your genotype, and all of those things. The essence of all of those things is for us to adapt you to the right work. Okay, that's the essence of all of those things. So to get you to be on the safe working load, so that you don't get overwhelmed with work and the work becomes ambiguous and is not being done, right? Okay, so in the same way, your environment need to have its own safe working load. You don't go to quality control room and start doing productions in the quality control room. The quality control room is meant for quality control, not for production. So when you go to production room, you do production, all right? When you go to quality control, you do quality control. There is a safe working load for each department and for each person in the department. Okay, let me bring it down in a simpler way. In HR, we have what we call job descriptions. So each person hired for a particular job description should be suitable. She should have enough capacity to deal with that work, right? In the same way, we have the machines, we have the other infrastructures that apply. Then we have the lab as low as reasonably practicable. It refers to a process of reducing the likelihood of occurrence of an incident or the minimization of the effects or consequences of such incidents. Allow as low as reasonably practicable, as much as you can. Through innovation, through creativity, you must find a way to constantly reduce risk. You must find a way to constantly reduce. Please, when I talk about risk, I'm talking about the negative risks, not the positive risks. Because in essence, when we talk about risk management, as a risk manager or as a safety manager, your assignment is to increase the likelihood of positive risk, and then as much as you can, reduce or eliminate the likelihood of negative risks. Risks in an organization are not all bad. We have the negative risk, which you can insure, get your insurance company to deal with the negative risk. And then you have the positive risk, which you can get the consultant and other members of your team to brainstorm on and find out possibilities around it. Okay, so let me give an example of what we're having right now in the COVID world. COVID is a risk, right? So some companies shut down completely. Meanwhile, there's some companies that have evolved, right? So as long as reasonably practicable, irrespective of whether there is COVID-19 or no COVID-19, there should be production, there should be revenue, there should be profit, there should be maximization of resources. So why organizations are adopting some organizations strategically adopting the remote working system, some are waiting till when the government will open up and they come back. And I tell you the truth, some of those companies that think that the digital world is not for them, they cannot use it to adapt to reducing the impact of this COVID in their businesses right now, they are actually going to go into extinction afterwards, because by the time they come into the new COVID world, they would have found that that is a new economy altogether, and the present economy may not really support the economy they were coming from, which they've locked down over a while. So in a lab, as low as reasonably practicable, your assignment is to make sure that you creatively and innovatively manage risks. All right. So the consequences of those risks should be less. Why the profit advantage on those positive risks should be high. And I will give another case study, and then I'll move to the next class. Okay, so that you're working in oil and gas. Oil and gas is one of the most hazardous places to work in. So one accident in oil and gas can actually cripple a whole community that is harboring the oil and gas company, right? But irrespective of the high level of risk in oil and gas, we still have oil and gas companies function. What have they done? They have reduced to a great effect, creatively and innovatively produced approaches, which we are also going to be looking at, especially in level 3. Level 2, we are going to be looking at more of the project management in controlled environment, and how safety applies to things like project management in controlled environment, right? So irrespective of the fact that oil and gas is highly hazardous, should we close it down because it's hazardous? No, but rather we should adopt and create mitigators that can reduce the negative risk and then empower the positive risk for maximum productivity, right? Okay, let's quickly look at the personal protective equipment. The personal protective equipment will have the different categories, as you can see. Any clothing or anything we are wearing to protect ourselves from identified harm is called the personal protective equipment. So if you can remember my case with what happened to me in USC, I did not wear my PPE because we then felt like the PPE was heavy. Why should I be wearing boots? Why should I be wearing production gown and all of those? They are heavy, right? But if you don't wear those things, you're like exposing yourself to a crocodile, and the crocodile will just swallow you in a twinkle of an eye. If you don't wear your PPEs, like you're exposing yourself to an anaconda, and the anaconda will squeeze and get your life into itself. So PPEs are essentially crucial in workplaces. Now, I will say something here that is very, very important. Please, PPEs are adaptive and flexible. How do I mean adaptive and flexible? The PPE that is being used in the bank is different from the PPEs that are being used in oil and gas. They are different. They could be different from the PPEs that are being used in the medical industry. They are different from the PPEs that are being used in the food industry. They are different from the PPEs that are used in the consulting industry, in the education. So the PPEs are adaptive to the industry. Let me give you an instance. Look at this man on the street. Let's assume you went to a bank to pay your money, and someone like this is staying over the counter to collect your money. How will you feel? Will you really give your money to him? Even if the person said is a way to combat COVID, well, that could sound nice. But before this COVID incident, somebody's just dressing like this and wants to collect your money. You're possibly going to have a rethink, like, what's this guy really doing here? Is this an engineering company or is really a bank? Okay, so the PPEs need to be adaptive and flexible. All right, so you need to adapt the necessary PPE to the work to be done, right? Okay, so let me give you another example. You practically will not wear your suit to sleep, right? Say you want to sleep and your nightgown is your suit, and next day you wake up with that suit and still go to work with that. So the nightgown is a good PPE for the night, and the suit is a good PPE for your work to be done. All right, so so you can see some of the examples of the PPEs there. You have the hard hat, you have the safety glasses, you have the ear protection, you have the full body harness, you have the safety gloves, you have the back belt, safety lanyards with safety hooks, you have the steel-toed shoes and boots. Then you also have others like the face shield, face mask, lifeline, and so many other safety tools that can be used. Okay, all right. So all equipment and clothing intended to be utilized which afford protection against one or more risks. So health and safety is what we refer to as PPE. Okay. We also have what we call the RPE. The RPE is risk protective equipment. Risk protective equipment. All right. We deal with that when we go to risk management. Okay. So this includes protection against adverse weather and conditions. So let's see what we have here. So if you look at this place, like I was trying to say, the safety tools and safety PPEs are adaptive. So if you look at the young man there, the PPE is wearing or the lady there, the PPE she's wearing is different from the PPE the medical personnel is wearing, is different from the PPE the welder is wearing, is different from the PPE the person with woodworks is wearing. So all the PPEs are different based on the kind of work you are to do per time. All right. Okay. Let's look at what health and safety is all about. Health and safety, what is it all about? But before I go to this health and safety, let's take a 1 minute break, and we'll take 3 minutes for questions if there is any or observation. Then we'll come back. All right. So 1 minute break, and within the 1 minute, you can ask any question you want to ask for, question related to this course, and then I will take that. And by 12, according to my own country, by 12:05, I'll be back. So Dr. Rolai, are you there?
Yeah, Dr. Manito, thank you very much. That was quite insightful, as usual, quite refreshing. Does anybody have any questions to ask quickly as we proceed? We've got only 2 minutes, as you said, so please hurry up and raise up your hands if you have a question, and I'll pick you straight away. Does anybody have a question? Let me try and check the chat to see if anybody has put a question there. No, there's no question in the chat. We're still expecting our first question. Can everybody hear me, please? Okay.
Okay, so perhaps there is no question. Maybe I could continue with my class. Yes.
Yes, please continue. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
All right, thank you. If you've not joined the WhatsApp group, please endeavor to join the WhatsApp group, because that's where we're taking the attendance from. The CRO is going to go ahead and post the information again for the WhatsApp group. So as soon as she posts that, please follow the link and join the WhatsApp group so that you can get more information, and we'll answer more questions in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so that being said, thank you so much, Dr. Relayo. Can I just proceed? Health and safety, what is it all about? It's about preventing accidents and injuries. It's about ensuring well-being of workers, whether they are full-time, part-time, temporary workers, and self-employed, and the visitors coming to your environment. That's both the members of the public. Then you have your contractors and your customers. So it's about ensuring the well-being of all these category of individuals. What is it all about? It's about the physical environment, the behavior of people in the environment, the competence, and the safe work practices that we should have in the workplaces. Then quickly, let's look at influences on health and safety. Please, I would like us to understand this area very well. I would like us to pay attention here later, and I will explain. Influences on health and safety in organizations, in the public sector, and all of that. The first influence on health and safety is what we call the occupational factors, and that is the type of work. So the type of work being done determines the kind of safety rules, safety regulations, safety policies, safety standards, safety systems, and all of it. Okay, I didn't remember to mention, but I know we'll definitely mention it. The two standards of safety we are running here is ISO 18101. So please, we'll get you the material for all of us that are making the payment. We'll get you all the materials. ISO 18101 and ISO 45001. That's ISO 18001 and ISO 45001. So that's the two standards we're running here, where ISO 18001 is dealing with the occupational safety, and the 45001 is dealing with the management systems and all of that, systems and management systems, right? Safety systems and the like. So back to my slide, occupational factors, like I said, the type of work should determine the kind of systems, the kind of PPE, the kind of work that is being done, right? Okay, then you have the environmental factors also, like the conditions within your work environment. You also go ahead and give you information on the kind of safety policies and systems that will be put in place, all right? Okay, let me give you an example. If you're going to be working in a bank, or let's assume you're a project manager for a bank, I don't think you will ever go to encourage your bank to put a non-shiny tile, because you want to create an impression that you're the best. But let's assume that you're a project manager for a construction firm. There is no way you go and tell your company to use a shiny tile to run the environment. You're going to have more injuries than you can imagine. I'll give you a case to this. Some time ago, we had a case in Abuja. This school is one of the most respected schools in Abuja, wonderful schools, okay? Like someone could ask, where do we apply safety? Safety is in every business. Safety is in, when I mean every business, including the business in your own house, okay? We've seen homes that are burned to ashes because of negligence to safety, okay? We've seen people burned to ashes because of negligence. A simple put on your seatbelt can save your life. But within the environment of that driving and the likes, if you don't put on that, and we have unsafe conditions resulting from unsafe acts, if anything happened at that moment, the person could lose his life. So let me go back to that case study of that school. This school is wonderful. I really love this school. They're one of the best schools, and I think they should be one of the best in Africa. I may not say to the world, but they should be in Africa. Now, the school, right from the gate, they have shiny ties. Very wonderful shiny ties. So when they tell you that their school fees is $3,000 per term, you don't question them. And for them to prove to you that their school fees is equivalent to that, they had to make everywhere shiny ties from the gates to the classrooms. But they noticed something, that the rate of falling of students were higher when they come to school and when they are going to school, because when students come to school, they always want to run off from their parents' vehicles and the like. And when they are coming back also, they want to run off to meet their parents. So they noticed there were much falls. And when they went on to perform the risk assessment, they found out that the major hazard that was responsible for that risk was the ties. Now they had to change the ties from shiny ties to a more befitting friction driven tie that can hold the sole of the feet, even if you want to run, you want to. So that's an example of environmental factors that can also affect how safety will be represented in an organization. Then you have the human factors, which I will actually say is the #1 driving factor to the health and safety in the workplace, right? So what are the human factors? The human behavior and the human attitude. Do not smoke, but people still go and hide and smoke. Wear your seatbelt, people still put off their seatbelt, and you ask them, say, I'm going less than a kilometer. Whether you're going less than a kilometer or less than the half of a kilometer, the rule is put on you're not definite of the risks that may occur. So the essence is to protect lives and properties and environment and assets. But where we have deviant human behaviors, these factors will result to having higher levels of risks and higher levels of uncertainty in the work environment, right? So these three factors, we have to help the safety officer get information as to what safety policies will be raised, as to what safety systems, as to what PPEs, as to what safety procedures will be raised to be able to have a more workable safety environment. Okay, well, just like the case I tried using for the shiny marbles, this was an example of the analysis that was done. Some of the facilities that we are resulting around 2008, 2009, most of the fatalities were from falls from height, stroke by falling or flying objects, stroke by transport of vehicles. And these are the predominant forces that we see every day. And although we now have emotional intelligence coming in as part of the top factors, safety factors that are causing fatalities in the workplace today, the emotional intelligence aspect of it and the social relevance aspect of it also. Okay. Then we also have other causes, slip, trips, and falls. Is a case of that school. Then we also have other forces like the manual handling, carrying things that are beyond your capacity. It can lead to unsafe acts and result into accidents. Then you have the stroke by falling objects also, and then you see the totalities of these injuries from individual levels as organization to from individual levels as organization to the corporate levels as industry. All right, so you see at individual levels what happens within the organization. By default, organizations most often experience this kind of fatalities, this range of frequency. Then at the industry level, you see this range is also, and they keep on going like that to country level, general economy levels, and as it were. Okay, so you see at the general economic level, it rises to as high as 24.6 million days over a period that can be lost to safety concerns within the workplace. Okay, quickly, let's look at some of these major hazards and then how to deal with them. Some of these major hazards and how to deal with them. Please be reminded that our class will be stopping by 1:45 on the dot. We are stopping at 1:45 on the dot. Okay, all right, thank you. Then we are not having evening classes today. Safety is not having evening classes today, but rather we'll have morning lectures tomorrow, and the time will be communicated. And that's why we are saying, if you've not joined the WhatsApp group, please ensure to be part of that WhatsApp group, right? Thank you so much. So there is no evening class for safety today. We are only having morning class for safety tomorrow, right? Okay. So sleep. Sleep is a term used to describe where the surface of a footwear or sole of the foot lose grip with the floor surface. Sleep is something we experience virtually every day. We experience sleep, and okay, when you have a sleep, you tend to fall backwards. When you sleep, when the sole of your feet loses grip, you tend to fall backwards. That's as regards to a sleep, all right? As regards to as a sleep. But to a trip, you tend to fall back. You tend to fall forward. Okay, so a trip happens when your feet catches an uneven surface, maybe an obstruction on the surface or something that hinders you from having a free movement. So that's a trip. So when you get out, experience a trip, you fall forward. When you experience a slip, you fall backward. So a slip results in a backward fall, and a trip results in a forward fall. But nonetheless, you could have a trip or a slip and not fall. Where you now have landed to the floor, we call that a fall. So you can trip and you can slip without really having a fall. But where you have to land on the floor, that is a fall. So where a slip or trip causes a person who was upright to fall to the ground or floor surface, we call that a fall. And these three things are considered the major accidents in the work environment: slip, trips, and fall. And somebody could be like, does it really cause an accident? The truth is, they do. In the workplace, in the homes, and in public places, we have slips, trips, and falls having tremendous effects on this. Okay, so I'll give this case study also. I'll give these two case studies. They happened really, all right? While I was in my final year in the university as an undergraduate student, there was this course, a technology course, that was supposed to be taken by one of our profs. Now, I happen to be the, what they call them then, class rep, right? Class representative. So I'm in charge of fixing classes and communicating with the lecturers, and then communicating back to the students and all of that. So for the first 2 months, we were not having the attention of this particular lecturer who was supposed to take this engineering course. And then I had to go to the head of department and I asked the head of department, please, what's happening to Professor so? He was supposed to take us in this particular course. And the HOD was like, oh, sorry, we've not informed your class. Prof had a domestic accident. And since I have not really had much information about safety, I was so worried, like, what kind of domestic accident? Did he hit his car? Because some of us, when we say accident, it's all about car to machine, or something like that. All right, it must be, what they call it, a metallic object coming together or something colliding together, right? Okay. So I was wondering, like, what kind of accident could that be? So in one of the days, myself and my classmates, we fixed a time to go and meet Prof in his house at the professor's lodge. So on getting there, we were all observing. We looked at his gate. The gate was standing. We looked at all the trees. Nothing was falling. We looked at his car. His car was normal. We looked at the house. No side of the house was crashed. So the question among us was, where did the accident happen if it was domestic in his house? We went inside his house. We looked at the parlor, the sitting room, and everywhere. We found that there was no electrical issue, like burning or what have you. So while we were with him, we noticed that he was using a walking stick, clutches. So after we might have spent some time, and I asked him, Prof, what actually happened? And that story of what happened is what I want to share with you now. Prof went to take his bath. On his water bath, after he finished taking his bath, he wanted to come out, and he had one of his legs slip off, and he had to land with one side of his rib cage at the edge of the water bath. So he had some of his rib well affected. So he couldn't walk, and he was almost paralyzed due to the shock. He was almost paralyzed for a whole year. Okay, that is one of the proofs of sleep, right? One of the evidences of sleep. Now, this happened in his house. Imagine that happened in an industry setting. That could be death or true. Okay, that could be death or true. Now, a second case that happened, I worked in one company some time ago, a very big company, wonderful company, a multinational company, right? That was a very big company. Now, in the production room, it was after I left that I began to look at the setup, and I found that the setup was an unsafe environment. One, the work environment, at some point, you see some holes that can actually cause a trip. Of course, most people tripped, but just that they didn't fall. That they didn't fall does not mean that's a near miss, right? That's a near miss. But I realized something. In front of this pothole in the production room, and I'm sure some of us that could have been in the production room, especially in heavy duty production rooms, you see some potholes and we feel like it doesn't really matter. In front of this pothole is where we have the deep fryer. So just imagine that someone actually tripped, and or moving forward, he landed into a deep fryer. Imagine how his life, how his body will look like. So importantly, we have to pay attention to these small things and make sure that our work environments are devoid of factors or things that can lead to slips, trips, or falls, right? Very, very important. Okay. So quickly, what are the causes of slip, trips, and fall? Like you can imagine alongside with me, wet floors, poor lighting, trailing cables and wires, uneven floors, using chairs instead of step ladders, or proper footstools, especially for some of us in the house that will always want to change our bulb by ourselves. Then you stand on the bed to change and you use some stools, they're not sizable enough, they can't carry your weight, and you're trying that, right? Okay, so that's an unsafe act. Then you also have obstructions on the floor or walkway. Then people's behavior, example, running instead of walking or carrying too much load, that could also lead to unsafe act. I will come back to these accident ratios later, but let me quickly go through this. What will be the consequences of poor safety standards in an organization? What would be the cost, the consequences of not keeping safety standards in your organization? Number one, you have accidents, increased accidents, injuries, fatalities, diseases, and suffering. Then you have increased absences, poor morale, and high staff turnover. Then you have legal costs and fines. Then you have insurance costs will also increase. You have loss of reputation, and you have prohibition and closure by regulating authorities within the country. All right. So these are some of the consequences that will accrue if health and safety processes are not properly taken care of, right? Now, let's quickly take a look at this financial cost of poor health and safety in the economy of UK. I think UK is the most safety conscious country in the world, right? Okay. From research though, UK is the most safety conscious country in the world. And they have well-built safety systems for both individuals, organizations, and even homes, schools, and every other thing. Okay, so the overall impact of safety cases in the UK economy as of the time of this report was over £30 million per year. And out of these £30 million, injuries accounted for over £10 million and ill health accounted for £20 million. So if a country could be losing about £20 million so unsafe acts and unsafe behaviors, then it therefore means that we have to pay attention. With all the safety systems they have in place, they are still losing this kind of money. Then you can imagine some countries that don't have occupational health and safety administrations in their system. So imagine how unsafe and the impact of the financial impact of that on the economy of such nations. Okay. Quickly, what are the benefits of good health and safety to employees? The benefits of good health and safety to employees. Benefits of good health and safety to employees. Okay, I saw something in the chat room. Please, for everyone that is going for manuals, you get your manuals today. Like some people have already paid for their manuals. So you get your manuals after the class today, all right? And your manuals come level by level. So you have level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, so if you're paying for level 1, you only have level 1. If you're paying for level 3, you're having level 1, 2, 3 manuals altogether, all right? Okay. And also after working on the video, you also have the video clips for your own use and your own convenience for further studies. Okay, benefits of good health and safety to employees. We have motivation to work where there are good health and safety systems, safety procedures, policies. Employees are well motivated to work. Then there is confidence at work, there is better health, there is lesser risk of accidents, and there is less absenteeism. Then for the employers, we have increased productivity, increased profit, happier and better motivated workforce, less time taken off work, fewer problems with health and safety inspectors, and then you have lower insurance premiums, because if you have safety systems, your insurance costs will reduce and legal fines will also reduce. Okay, so the Work Act of 1974 please, to limit the questions that I'm seeing on the chat room, please, can you just join the WhatsApp group? You have all the questions answered there. Just join the WhatsApp group, okay? Scroll through, you find the link. The CRO will put that up again, and Dr. Rolayo is also there to assist. Please, Hero, if you can hear me, put up the WhatsApp link so that we can all go there and have all the questions. And please, to mark your attendance for today's class, we need to see you on the WhatsApp platform for better communication. All right? Okay, so what does the Safety Work Act of 1974 say? It has not really changed much. That has been the same safety rule or safety act for Nigeria as a case study. Number one of the rules says employers should prevent harm to workers and others so far as reasonably practicable. Employers should employers should prevent harm to workers and others so far as reasonably practicable. Health and safety is a shared responsibility, and self-employed people have a legal duty not to put others at risk by the way in which they work. All right, that's very, very important. Okay. Now, what are employees' rights when it comes to health, safety, and environment? And I need us to understand this. What are employees' rights? Because in most cases, where you see people performing unsafe acts, and if you ask, they say that's what their boss said they should do, or that's what their organization said they should do. That the organization says you should do something does not mean you should jeopardize the safety of others. Okay, that is very, very important. Okay, so what are the rights of employee? Right to a safe and healthy workplace, a right to have questions regarding safety and health addressed, right to receive and have access to all information regarding workplace hazards, then right to refuse to perform an unsafe act. Right to refuse to perform an unsafe act. This is very, very important, okay? These are the rights that we are all supposed to have access to, and any organization that violates any of these rights, you're not meant to be there. And if you're the safety officer and you're not putting these policies in place to ensure that everybody has rights to all of these things mentioned, then you have to sit down and begin to draft out the employee rights when it comes to health and safety issues. Okay, quickly, before I proceed, I'm going to allow us to go for a 5 minutes break. Then we'll come to safety auditing tools. And the first one we're going to be looking at is the job hazard analysis or the job safety analysis. Now, if there are questions, Dr. Rolayo is here. We can take the questions and then we proceed. I'll give 5 minutes. So by just add 5 minutes to your time, I will be back. Dr. Rolayo, you're welcome back.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bonito. Thank you for everything you have taught us today. Does anybody have any questions? Somebody wanted to know if we're still going to do PMP today.
Yes, PMP is by 2 o'clock.
So we're working towards that right now. The PMP class by 2 o'clock. It was originally scheduled for 1, I think, but it's now 2. Also, somebody wanted to know if we have hard or soft copy of the HSE course. Yes, we will.
As soon as you place demand for your materials, you have all.
You just need to place a demand for your materials. That's all.
Okay, do I have any other question? And please, let's ensure they join the WhatsApp group. We'll answer all the questions from there. Somebody was asking Lillian Ephobi. All right, she was asking Mr. Iwoma. He said, why are we still carrying 29 record? Okay, that's just a record, all right? But you can do a Google to find out much about 2018, 2019 risk. In your manuals, you find most of those things there. In your manuals, you find those assessments there, all right? Mr. Iwoma Benjamin, you'll find those records in your manuals, okay? Right, Dr. Ola, any other questions?
So does anybody else have any questions, please? Anybody has any questions, please? If you have a question, please raise up your hand and just click on the raise hand button, and I'll let them know about it. Okay, Mr. Paul Victor has a question. Please, could you kindly unmute yourself?
All right, Paul Victor, your line is open, please.
So can you reopen it again for him, please, Mr. Banito? Something went wrong just now.
Hello, good day, sir.
Good day. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to ask, like, this is the health and safety, like the level 3, like for the level 1 and level 2. Like you said, if you are in level 3, you have to follow 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yes, I want to ask their timetable as well. Is it the same as the one that is provided on the emails?
Yes, it is. It's
the
still,
same.
yes. There will be another class again tomorrow.
That other class, that will not be, okay, that is, the class again will be level 1 or 2.
Mr. Banito. Okay, Mr. Banito will give you that answer because he's the one that has the thorough curriculum of that. When he comes back here, I will let him know about that, please. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Paul, for the classes, it's like you joined us a little earlier. Okay, let me use that. If you're taking level 3, like I said, you have to go through level 1, 2, and 3. So the level 1 is 3 weeks, level 2 is 4 weeks, and level 3 is 5 weeks. What this means is, after level 1, if you're going for level 2, you have extra 1 more week to go. And if you're going for level 3, you have extra 1 more week to go after level 2, right? But if you are applying for level 1, you are permitted to stop. Of course, when level 1 is over, we'll tell you that level 1 is over. We're going to level 2. So if you're applying for level 1, at level 1, you can stop. If you're going to level 2, you continue from level 2. If you're stopping at level 2, when level 2 is over, we'll tell you that level 2 ends here. Then if you're going to level 3, you continue another 1 more week. But if you are making payments, if you wish to make payments, you can only pay for the level you're going for. So if you're going for level 3, you are only to pay for level 3, not 1, 2, and 3. But for classes, you are to attend all the classes. Mr. Mohammed Noura Shehu, I think that was your question. So you're not if you're paying for material, you're not paying for level 3 separately. Then you pay for level 1 separately. You pay for no. If you're paying for material for level 3, you're having access to 1, 2, and 3. If you're paying for the only thing there is your certificate. Let's assume you're going for level 1, 2, 3. That's where we'll now say, okay, you have to pay for the certification fees. But you don't have to pay for the material separately and the exam separately. No. If you're going for, let's say you want to go for 3 certificates, which is not possible. It's not possible to have 3 certificates. You can only have 1 per time. You can only have 1 certification per time. All right. So if it is level 2, it's level 2 certificate you have, irrespective of the fact that you did level 1 and 2. If it is level 3 you applied for, it's only level 3 you can have, irrespective of the fact that you took 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. I think there is another question, Gabriel. Dr. Ola, are you there?
Mr. Banito, there's another question that someone asked earlier.
Okay.
Mr. Banito?
Yes, I'm with you.
I'm here.
Okay.
Another question someone asked earlier, and that is that can you come back and join level 2 after level 1 is over?
Okay. You can take from level.
Can you skip level 1 and go to level 2?
No.
And join when level 2 starts?
No. You're not skipping anything. You're taking through the classes.
Okay.
If you're applying for level 2, you have to take level 1 and take level 2. If you're applying for level 3, you have to attend all the classes. So if you're okay, let's break it down. If you're going for level 1, your class. 2. If you're going for level 1, your class is 3 weeks. And if there is an alteration in the timetable, we'll let you know. If you're going for 1 and 2, your class is 4 weeks. So if there's alteration, we'll let you know. If you're going for level 3, your class is 5 weeks. If there are alterations, we will let you know. All right? Okay. I think that is okay. Any other question? I think I'm seeing Gabriel raising his hand. Can we unmute him?
Okay. Just in case you didn't hear Mr. Banito, if you apply for level 1, it's a 3 weeks class. If you are applying for level 2, it's the week after level 1 is over. Then if you're applying for level 3, it's the week after. So you have to continue from now till the end. Before you can get your level 3, you can't skip. You must go through all the classes to get to level 3. You must go through all the classes to get to level 2. So, and you can only collect one certificate per time. And these courses don't run concurrently. That is, everything is going to continue like this to the end. There's no other class again somewhere where you can get these levels. You follow it from the beginning to the end. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, Mr. Gabriel has a question.
Okay.
Mr. Gabriel.
Hello.
Yes, Mr.
Good
Gabriel,
afternoon. I can hear you, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so before now, I wanted to know how, because currently, I have no idea of HSE and stuff like that, So I want to know from this level now, where do we start paying for our manuals and then stuff like that, and then everything necessary? Just wanted to know, because at the group we can't actually send messages.
Yes,
so it's in the group. It's only the admins that can send messages. Yes.
Okay, so we'll answer all your questions to that. But meanwhile,
hello.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, I think Mr. Rolayo, I guess you can hear me, right? Okay, so Mr.
Everybody can hear you right now.
Okay, Mr. Gabriel, like we said, if you're going for level 1, I'm sure you should have been reading all the emails we've been sending across. So you have different course fees or manual fees for each of the levels. If you're going for level 1, you have your fee for manual. And if it is level 1 you're coming into, since you say you don't know anything about safety, so it's obviously level 1 you're coming into. So you can go ahead and pay for your manual and get your manual today. Then if it is level 2 you're going for, perhaps you've had a training on safety before or a diploma in safety before, you can go to level 2. So you don't need to pay for level 1, you just go and pay for level 2 and get your manual. If it is level 3, that means you should have been an associate safety professional before now, and then you can go ahead and pay for level 3. Now I see some question in the chat room. From Ewoma Benjamin. He said, I know ESPON is accredited to give level 1 to 3. I hope the body issuing the certificate is accredited too. Okay, Mr. Ewoma Benjamin, I guess you've done one of our courses before. ESPON is a Nigerian body. It's not an international body. It is the Nigerian safety body, and before we used to call it what do you call it? NISP. Okay, before it used to be NIPS. Before it was changed to ESPON. Okay, so ESPON is like every other accredited professional institute around the world offering health and safety programs. And by standard, we have safety from level 1 to level 6. But in Nigeria, we are still having 1, 2, 3. And according to ISO, we are still having 1, 2, 3. But according to companies like institutes like International Institute of Risk and Safety Management UK, they have up to 6 levels now. Okay, so it is not ESPON that is responsible for whether it's going to be 1, 2, or 3. It is a global standard, just like it is not the university that you went to that was going to determine whether you're going to have a BSc or in your course or not. If your course is a degree course and is a university course, globally it is a degree course. You won't finish it and you'll be getting a school cert. All right. So ESPON is an accredited body, accredited by Federal Ministry of Education here in Nigeria to offer the program they do. IPM also is accredited here in Nigeria to offer the safety program. Apart from that, we'll also have the ISO accreditations that qualifies the certifications for international opportunities, right? Okay, so Mr. Ewoma, thank you for asking, and
Okay, I can't see any other questions again. Let me try and go to the chat room to see.
Okay, for the sake of time, I think we can proceed to the class. Then we can come back to the questions in the WhatsApp group. Okay. Just we'll push the question. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, please join the WhatsApp group, and all the questions will be answered during the break time, and all of us will have the peace of mind. But I think more of the questions we should ask here should be relating more to the course.
Let me quickly just answer one question, Mr. Banito here, because you've actually answered it. I'll just repeat it. Somebody wants to know that I don't understand. As a new starter, can I proceed from 1 to 3 and take exams at 3, skipping 1 and 2 certification?
As a new starter, you're stopping at 1. You're not proceeding to 2. You're not proceeding to 3. If you don't have the qualification to proceed to 2, you don't go to 2. Even if you come into the class, you're still going to write level 1 exam, and you're still going to have level 1 certificates. If you are in level, if you already have accepted safety certifications or accepted qualifications and experience, and that qualifies you for level 2, even if you write level 3, or even if you come for level 3, we are only giving you level 2, which is certified associate safety professional. If you have CSP before, that's CSP rather, then you're dependent on the institute you're coming from, then and also based on experience, you can go for level 3. Okay, so we won't just give you level 3 because you came and you had, like I said earlier, we'll screen all the applications and publish it on the groups, and as much as we can. Where you fall into, you know yourself. If you're coming for level 1, you know you're coming for level. Come for level 2, you're coming for level. If you're coming for level 3, and perhaps within the week you have the CRO give you a call to get more information from you before you'll be placed on the right cadre for yourself. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Rolayo. I think I can proceed with my class.
Yes, you can.
Okay. So this aspect I'm going into is going to be a little technical, and I will need all of us to pay attention to this side. And in the WhatsApp group, you're going to divide us into separate groups to carry out our individual workshops. Okay, we are going to carry out individual workshops, and individual workshops is going to be based on assessing different jobs, assessing different hazards with this tool called the job hazard analysis or the job safety analysis. So by the next class, after this week, the next class, we're going to be having a presentation via the groups. Each group is going to make their presentations on what case study they've looked at and how they were able to use the JHA tool to assess that. So if you have questions on JHA after I'm done, please go ahead and ask me questions on JHA. This is the #1 tool that every safety professional must understand. Understand how to use it, when to use it, where to use it, and all of that. Okay. So what is JHA or JSA? JHA focuses on job tasks as a technique for identifying hazards associated with a job before they lead to accidents. So JHA is a proactive tool that we use to prevent accidents from happening. Okay, and JHA, I'm going to, if you have your big, I don't think I have any chat here, but we'll share more of the chats in the group. If you have your big, please, I would like you to write. First thing I would like you to write is the processes of JHA. The processes of JHA. I would like you to first understand the concept, then I would like you to understand the processes, right? Okay, so the concept is that a JHA focuses on tasks, not on the business as it were, not on the general organization. It focuses on the tasks. So it gets the task from the organization, then tries to assess the possible risks that could come up or the possible effects that could come up from that task, and then profile possible solutions and mitigative measures that will be used. So JHA has 4 processes. So please, you can write down. JHA has 4 processes. The first process, I want to be sure you're writing because this aspect I'm teaching is actually the practical side, and it might not be available in your manual, except you have to listen to and watch this slide again. So please, if you have your pen and paper ready, can you please raise your hand, wave your hand? Let me be sure that you'll get what I'm trying to do. This is the only thing I would like you to write for today. I know you should have your notes. Okay. So if you have your pen and paper ready, thanks, Mr. David. Okay, thanks, Akijo. Okay, so Mr. David and Mr. Akejo, maybe, thanks, Usman. So maybe if you make your notes, you can share with others. All right, but I want you to write this thing down, the processes for JHA, And even if I stop at JHA, I think if you understand JHA, I'll be much more satisfied. The process of JHA, number one, identify the job. Number one, identify the job. Number two, break down the job into tasks or operations. Break down the job into tasks or operations. Break down the job into tasks or operations. Then number three, identify the hazards in each task. 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 Then number four, put up control measures for the identified hazards. Put up a control against the identified hazards. So I will go through it again. The first one is identify the job. What job do you really want to do? Then number two is you break down the job into tasks. Break down the job into tasks. Then after you might have broken the job into tasks, you have to sit down and analyze what are the hazards in each of the tasks. In each of the tasks. Then after analyzing the hazards in each of the tasks, then you can now put up a control for each task or for each identified hazard. Okay, so if you got the processes, can you please just type yes in the chat room? Let me be sure that you got the processes. If you got the process, just type yes. If you got the processes, just type yes. Okay, all right, thank you so much. That's wonderful. So in case you didn't get, you can chat these people that got to send to you. All right, you can chat Dr. Raphael, you can chat Iwoma, you can chat others. All right, thank you so much. Okay, what I just said now is a simple thing, but let me use Dr. Raphael as a case. I perceive Dr. Raphael is working on a COVID-19 project. I think I saw that on the newspaper. So let's take Dr. Raphael is working on a vaccine. So the job he's working on is production of COVID-19 vaccine. That's what he's working on. So what are the tasks under that? He will have to list all the tasks. After listing the task, he will now have to find out the hazards in each of the tasks. The hazards alongside the risks, the consequences, the implications, the inclusions for each of the risks or each of the hazards in each of the tasks. Now, after identifying that, he would have separated the positive risk and the negative risk. Then he goes to providing the mitigative measures to stop the negative risks from coming up while advancing the positive risk to proceed. Now, there had been so many cases around or so many information about the COVID-19 case. Of course, the COVID-19 case is a health and safety issue, not just the companies only, but a global pandemic, all right? So let's take, for instance, one of the information they said is true. Let's assume it's true, of which they said the COVID-19 is an escapee from a biolab. Let's assume it's true. So if people like Dr. Raphael are going to be working on the vaccine, obviously they are going to be testing those viruses that escaped, right? So they should be careful not to allow for the proliferation or further escaping of those samples from their own labs so that they don't propagate the issues that we're already having. So whatever thing that will lead to further biohazards, he will have to ensure that any step that involves the escaping of biohazard have to be fully dealt with. So we have the critical cases and we have the moderately critical cases or highly critical cases, moderately critical cases, and the lowly critical cases. When you're dealing with a JHA, you have to, through qualitative metrics, give the necessary metrics that can define which of the levels of the hazard you are attending to is high risk, moderate risk, or low risk. All right. So this is very, very important. So when looking at your own organization now, look at your own job title. Okay. Look at your own job title. And this is the assignment for everyone actually. If you're carrying out a project at the moment, look at the project, break down the project into the different tasks. Now begin to do an assessment. What will be the impact? What are the hazards in each of those tasks you have identified under your project? Now begin to put control measures under them. That will help you define or create more safe conditions and safe work environment for yourself, and not to put others at risk as well. So if you're going to use a table, we are going to share a template of the JHA forms in the WhatsApp group. So please make sure you are in the WhatsApp group, please. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, you'll be missing a lot. Okay, and we are using the WhatsApp group as an attendance. So if we don't see you in the WhatsApp group, we'll assume that you didn't come to class, right? Okay, so we are going to be sharing some of the forms there. And when you get the form, your own is to go use the form and use your own job first as a case study before we start splitting into groups. Use your own job as a case study. What is the job? What are the tasks that you do? What is your job description? Now, at each of the job description, what are the hazards associated with each of those job descriptions? Now, how can you reduce those hazards? Okay, that's the precaution. Now, that's what the JHA is trying to do. Now, like I said earlier, the JHA is a proactive safety tool. You use it before you start your project. Or perhaps if you want to use it within the project, you have to stop the project before you use it. Okay, because JHA is mostly used for new projects, and is mostly used also for projects that have higher levels of risks that can result to loss of life, loss of properties, and damages, right? Okay, now I love taking time to deal with this. I'm not in a haste. Now, if you understood what I said, please, I just need someone who understood what I said. Just raise your hand and let me be sure that you understood what I said. If you understood what I said, just raise your hand and share with us.
Someone already raised his hands.
No,
No,
let me use that hand has been up. Let me use Aderika. Okay, Aderika, please, can you unmute from your end? And then let me be sure. Aderika, can you unmute from your end, please? Oh.
Okay, there's Engineer Erifeta. Can you please unmute?
Okay. Engineer Erifeta. Okay, please go. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Can you hear you loud and clear?
Okay, talking about the job hazard
analysis. Angelica Jackson.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, talking about the job hazard analysis, like you rightly said, that is used for new projects, mainly that have perceived to have multiple hazards that could result to accident, or near miss as it's made. He has done well by giving us the processes, which include identifying the particular job you have to carry out.
Okay, one.
And identifying the job that you have to carry out. Thereafter, breaking down the task or operations.
Right, 3.
And then looking at each of these tasks or operations, what could be the hazards, perceived hazard in these operations. Having done that, the next thing you need to do is to put up control measures or mitigations that could avert such hazards.
Thank you so much. I think I've gotten. But if you have questions, go and ask Engineer Erifeta in the chat room. Chat him privately in case you have questions. He will say exactly the things I said. Now, nonetheless, please, this thing I said, or the concept of JHA, is applicable in every organization, please. But it's not just a theory. Some of us that are safety professionals, we use, or safety managers in our organization, we use JHA for checklists most often to know which job to analyze part-time, which job to create part-time, having to understand which job have the right mix of tools or projects that have the right mix of tools that can be kickstarted. Okay, so if you're running a project, we are still going to look at EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment at level 3, where, what they call it now, job hazard analysis will come back again, okay? Understanding the job hazard analysis and environmental impact assessment as a case. So if you're running a consulting firm, you have your own JHA to do. Your own JHA might not be the engineering concerns, the medical concerns, and other concerns that may be very critical, but you have your own critical job concerns. It could be your business model, could be the concern, the staff structuring could be the concern, the revenue model could be the concern, cost of operations could be you have your own work breakdown. Then you begin to analyze each and every one. What are the hazards in each one? Okay, and then begin to have results. By the time we go to the WhatsApp group to have all our conversations, like I said, the assignment is your own job you're working on now. Even if you're unemployed, in fact, if you're unemployed, that makes it better. That means you can actually conduct a JHA in the job and take it to the organization you want to work with and tell them the safety implications of the activities that they do. Okay, this is actually funny, but I remember a case I was teaching. I had this group of people I taught HSE in Abuja some times ago, and I told them to go and do a job hazard analysis, irrespective of whether you have a job or not. Just go and do a JHA, and let's bring it and discuss it. And the lady went and did a JHA on a particular job, a Ministry of Environment here in Abuja. And when she finished, she went on to submit the work, and she was given a job in that particular ministry, in that particular department, for that particular job. I will repeat that again. She was not working when she came to this class. Now, after she finished, just like we are saying now, go and conduct a JHA. She went, conducted a JHA. Then, when she came back, she submitted the work to Ministry of Environment, and they picked interest in the report she brought, and then she was employed in that ministry for that particular job in the department she did the job hazard analysis for. So you don't really need to be employed to go and do job hazard analysis if you know what you want to go in for. During the advertisement of this course, somebody said to us, he said, I did HSE for 4 years and yet I don't have a job. Please, I want to correct this notion. You're not doing this course because you need a job. If you came here because you need a job, well, I think you need to change the notion. You are here because you actually want to grow capacity to serve those who have the need. As a professional, you're not positioned to look for a job, you're positioned to solve problems. So by default, after this course, by the time you complete your level 3 and you get your license and the like, you're permitted to go and start a consulting firm and meet companies. Even if you feel like you don't have capacity to serve big companies, you can start with the small startups. Find out the area of safety you think you can come in and start consulting gradually. By the time you know it, you consult for bigger companies, and you will not have to wait till you have to have someone who will pay you. Like I said in one of my classes, we are now in economy of consulting. The economy we are now is economy of consulting. Everyone by default, whether you like it or yes, you have to learn the consulting skills and learn the consulting value you want to give and begin to consult. You don't need to wait for anybody now. You don't need to say, oh, I did this course for 10 years and I don't have a job. If you did the course for 10 years and you don't have a job, it's a simple indication that you did not understand what you learned. Because if you understood, you will go out there and start forcing yourself to practice. Okay, so that's very, very important, right? Okay, so if you understand this JHA, I am pleased. And if you have questions, please go and ask Engineer Erifeta. Engineer, please make yourself available for further questions. Okay, a job safety analysis break down the job into individual actions. I think I've explained all of this. So let's see what else we have here. An example is the changing of a wheel on a car. I think I've given several examples, so let me quickly go through. Now, After you might have conducted a JHA, the report you have is what we call the job safety instruction. After you might have conducted a JHA, you have used JHA to assess the job and all the risk and hazards involved in them. You're going to come up with a report of what we call job safety instruction. The job safety instruction is a simple instruction. For the ones that need to be done, you say what need to be done. For the ones that need to be pending, you say what need to be pending. For the ones that don't need to be done at all, maybe they need complete remodification, you need to also state it. Your instruction will be based on the criticality or the severity of that particular hazard you identified in that particular task under a particular job. Okay, so let's take, for instance, you are going into rig. You're an oil worker, you're going into rig, and the safety instruction says do not smoke. That's the safety instruction, do not smoke. Now, if you go and smoke, you're putting everybody there at risk. The hazard, the smoke is a hazard. Smoking is a hazard. The cabin is a hazard because it has enough energy, potential energy that when turned on can explode the whole waters. Okay, so in a job safety instruction, it gives you a simple instruction. So after the whole assessment in a cabin, one of the rules is do not smoke here. And although there are some cabins that have special corners for smoking, but they would have made necessary provisions for health and safety to ensure that there is no escalation of safety concerns in that place. Okay, so if such is done, the simple instruction do not smoke need to be carried out. And if you carry that instruction out, everybody will go and do their rigging and come out, no issue. But where there is a failure to pay attention to safety instructions, everybody's at risk. Okay, so the job safety instruction is a simple instruction that comes out after you might have fully assessed the tasks and the hazard levels in each of the tasks. Okay, so such instructions inform operators of specific risks at different stages of the job and advise him or her of the precautions to be taken. Now, another tool we'll talk about, and I think we'll just take two more extra tools. That's hazard and effect management process. Then we'll take risk assessment. Then we'll call it a day for today. And please, if you've not joined the WhatsApp group, please endeavor to join the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Hazard and effect management process. So if you look at that, there are two keywords there actually. The keyword is what is the hazard, and another keyword is what is the effect. Okay, and then if we are bringing in the third keyword, that would be what will be the management process that will reduce the negative effect of the hazard. So in simple terms, it's just like a law of action and reaction. So hazards and effects. What is the hazard and what will be the possible effect if it turns into an action that can create a disaster? All right. So this is a HSE management system tool that is focused on risk management as a technique for identifying, assessing, controlling, and recovering risks involved in various tasks as a method of preventing accidents and ill health. Now, I want us to look at something here. This one is written here. So if you still have your beak and your pen, you could write the processes involved in hazard and effect management process. And I'm going to ask a question. And the question is, from what you're looking at here versus what we did in JHA, can someone please help me with the difference between the two? Mr. Akeju, can you please bring down your hand so that we know when you're actually raising your hand? Please, I need look at the screen very well. Everyone, look at the screen. JHA says, okay, we've explained JHA, right? So let me not remind you so that you don't tell. Then you have HEMP. HEMP is saying that this is an all-round safety management system that is interested in identifying, assessing, controlling, and recovering risks. Okay, now look at these two tools together, the JHA tool or the JSA tool versus the HEMP tool. And please, can someone help us with the difference between the two? What can you say is different? Okay, Engineer Erifeta, I will come back to you, but before I come back to you, let me have someone else.
What if he's the only one that can answer
No,
your question?
it cannot be the only one. We have 42 persons here.
Okay, Mr. Gabriel.
Yes, Bonnie Way. Engineer Shitu is also here. I know Engineer. Okay, Mr. Gabriel. Oh, can you unmute from your end, please?
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Gabriel. He's muted himself again.
He's muted himself. Okay, before you come back, let's have Engineer Shitu. Engineer Shitu, your line is open. Engineer Shitu, your line is open.
Okay. All right, sir. I'm with you.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Gabriel,
Gabriel,
please just wait.
Okay. Sir.
Engineer Shitu.
All right.
Sir, I'm with you.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. JHA.
Yes.
This with hazard that has never happened. Why HEMP is used for those that has happened.
Okay, that's one. Thank you. Don't talk again. That one is a good one.
That's one. Thank you very much.
Let's have Muhammad Dauda. All right, Muhammad Dauda. All right, Muhammad, your line is open. Can you go ahead, please? Mohammed?
Mr. Gabriel was actually talking, so we stopped him.
Okay, Mr. Gab, if you can unmute yourself, your line will be open. But Shito had given us a major difference between the two. JHA is proactive, HEMP is reactionary. So you use JHA before going into the task.
Mr. Gabriel.
Mr. Gabriel, your line from here, your line is open. You need to unmute yourself, sir. Okay, before Gabriel comes.
Hello.
Yes, please, you can go on now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, to my own understanding, I believe the difference, one of the difference again is that this one is like a recovery. The HEMP it's a recovery process, you know. The HSE is more like he rightly said, there's one for the pro and after. There's one that goes before and after. So the HMP as in is like collecting your losses, you know, like recovering those risks you might have sidelined the process.
All right, thank you so much. So why JHA is trying to prevent waste, HEMP is trying to recover waste. Okay, all right, thank you so much, Mr. Geb. All right, so for Victor, a woman, I say you're raising your hand. Where is your hand now? I'm only seeing your hand in the chat room. Mr. Paul Victor, please, you can unmute from your end and please give us a voice. Paul Victor, can you hear me? Can you please unmute yourself and give us a voice? Okay, it's like he's having an issue. Okay, so we've seen some of the basic differences between the two. One is proactive. JHA is proactive. It is used to ensure that projects are done without higher levels of risk. But HEMP is used to recover risks, right? Okay.
Right.
I will give another example, or I will use a former example I used to explain these two things. I gave an example or a case study of a particular brewing company that was all about not managing their waste very well. And at the point they were sued, and after they've been sued, they received a legal sanction that forced them to go and start improvising on their safety systems. Now, at the end of the day, they adopted a HEMP tool. But to continually keep other processes in check, they also use the JHA for the production of new products and for the production of, for going into new projects. So for that kind of company, the HEMP process helps them to recover those risks. So now they recover their carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide, they recover their wastewater to table water for cells. They recover their lost water from the supercarbonated chambers to use it for their catfish farming. And then from the catfish farming, they go to...
You're training on health and safety.
Okay, so these
I'm
are...
a member of the institute, so I'm entitled to 1 or 2 fringe benefits. Institute of
Mr. Rolayo, your voice in the background is affecting our class. Okay, maybe you could mute your mic if someone is calling you, please. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, you were answering to someone and you were speaking to us at the same time. Thank you. Okay, so you see that kind of a system that company uses is a perfect hemp process. But for them to further ensure that they don't just keep being a recovery company, they have to use GHA before they could now launch their projects. All right. So hemp is an all-white system tool, safety system tool, but GHA is focusing more on the job or the project that you want to carry out per time. It is not a company-wide tool. Like we cannot just use it across all the company phases at the same time. No, you use it to focus on a particular task. Remember that task is like a proposed project or an activity that has not yet been carried out. Or like Engineer Rifeta said, where a proposed task or proposed project is perceived to going to cause multiple hazards or cause multiple injuries or multiple deaths and all of those things, you will have to conduct a GHA on that particular kind of task and make sure you reduce the risks as low as reasonably practicable before launching out. Okay, so in a nutshell, hemp is a sort of reactionary safety system, and GHA is a sort of proactive safety system. All right. Okay, and every other difference that has been identified also prevail. Okay, let's look at some of the questions that have been asked when using hemp. Are people, environment, or assets exposed to potential harm? If yes, those things that are exposed to potential harm are the things we are identifying. You know, in JHA, we are identifying the job. In hemp, we are identifying the elements that are at risk. Okay, okay. Then number 2 is, what are the causes, consequences, and risks involved? The causes of hazards to the people, to the environment, or the assets, the causes and consequences of the risks involved, the causes and the consequences of all of the impacts, the severity and the criticality, the frequency of all of this. You need to assess them as regard to what they are to people, to environment, to assets, and to organizational reputation. Then the next question is, can they be eliminated, or can we put up controls to these causes, to these consequences, to these risks? Okay, if we can put up a control, that's what we are calling the risk mitigation measures, all right? Then the last one there is, can the potential consequences or effects be mitigated, or are recovery capabilities suitable and sufficient? Okay, irrespective of the fact that we need to be proactive while handling safety, we should also understand that there are safety concerns that are reactionary. Let me give you an example. Those of us that work in refinery, although in Nigeria, and I perceive in most countries of the world, there had been a law in Nigeria that says there should not be gas releases effluent from refineries, but we still have some refineries in Nigeria that does gas emission and all of those stuff. But some other refineries in Nigeria have gone to recovery. What do they do, or what have they done? Some of those gases now are converted to what we have as cooking gas and any other gas that is being used for industrial purposes and non-industrial purposes. Okay, so instead of causing ozone layer depletion, some of the refineries have adopted suitable and sufficient recovery systems to convert those gases that were meant to be effluent to economic value, economic use that we now use today as home use gases, other industry gases, and all of that can even power some turbines for electricity. Okay, so that's a good example of recovery. Then you also look at cases like, I'll give example with the Nigerian case where we have sachet pure water. In Nigeria today, the sachet pure water that we throw away in Lagos currently, there is a quantity of sachet pure water you can get and you can use it to pay your school fees. And what are they doing with the sachet water? They are recovering these sachet waters to produce other things like plastics, more fiber-based plastics that have higher tensile strengths and the like. Okay, so you could also recover waste. So hemp is encouraging you that though your process might not be 100% efficient, that's right, efficiency mechanically they say cannot be 1. Efficiency is not equal to 1, all right? Okay, but you can create a safety recovery system to help you manage those inefficiencies that will occur. Okay, that will occur, all right? So these are some of the things that we look at under recovery, some of the case studies. And I know we all have our own separate case studies. If we just open the line now and start asking for case studies, we'll have 1,000,001 case studies that we see out there every day. Fridge, refrigerator is a good example of a hemp process. So you don't want your food to spoil. You recover the food via the fridge or freezer, as the case may be. What they call the other one? Microwave is a good example of a recovery tool. So you have your food and you don't want you put your food in the fridge, but at the same time, sometimes you want to eat your food. So you recover the food back using your what they call it again? Microwave, right? So there are so many case studies that we have. And in the industry scale, we also have so many of them. Okay. Now, quickly, and as we round up, let's look at risk assessment. But before we go to risk assessment, please, I need someone who has understood what I'm saying. I just have like 12 more minutes to go. All right, I have like 12 more minutes to go. I need someone who has understood what we are saying to please, in 30 seconds. Let me be sure that you understood what I mean by hemp. Please, if you're there, can I see your hand? Okay, can I see someone who will help me out? We did not all understand. Sorry? A woman.
Okay, the usual people have picked up the hands again. David Andini, engineer, Erefeta. Who should I pick?
Okay, choose engineer first. Let the two of them go ahead. But 30 seconds, please.
Okay, engineer, the floor is open for you.
It's okay. Straight. Let's just go straight to the key difference. Like you said, JHA is a project specific, while HEMP is company-wide specific. Company-wide in the sense that what is our process? What are we into? What impact does it have in the environment? That is identifying particular impact of our process, our products, our services. Should it have any impact on the environment? Identify them, assessing them, and putting control in place, and possibly putting measures to recover those impact that it has in the environment. That's all about hemp. Why job specific, like it was making references to the UAT company or the Indomie company. The Indomie company has a particular job as a company. Why the entire process of the company, that's where you can use hemp. Why you talk about a particular assignment, that's where you use job hazard analysis. I think that drives the point home for us to meet.
Okay, thank you so much. Ewoma Benjamin, you've been raising your hand in the group. Oh yeah, your mic is open. Can you go ahead? Ewoma Benjamin Agba.
Thanks, Mr. Engineer Benito.
Yes, Engineer Ewoma, welcome.
What I understand by the JSA or JHA is for you to identify the hazard before you start the job. And when you understand the hazard, you find a means of closing that hazard. For instance, if you want to work in an hydrocarbon zone, you need a gas tester to ensure that you test if the environment is charged up with hydrocarbon.
That's right.
if you have a very good rating, then you can use fire blankets to cover that environment before you wear it. Then for the HEMP is to manage the tax very well so that at the end of the day job, there will be no incident or accident. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much. And in a woman all the way from South, that's why you hear him talking South language. You're welcome. After you finish, you'll come here, we'll share that money from the South. Okay, all right. I think we've been able to create the differences, and I will round up this class with risk assessment. And if you've spoken before, if you've spoken before, when we finish risk, don't speak again. Just support those that are speaking, because we need everyone to participate in this class. And I want to be sure, safety is not like project management. We could just come and talk and talk. And no, safety is not like, in fact, there is no theory in safety. Safety is all about practice. Okay, so if you don't understand the practice of what I'm teaching, there will be an error. So please, I would like to be sure that everyone will understand me, okay? And not just understanding me, but getting it to the point of bringing it home to your own specific organization. And perhaps if you want to swap career, if you want to swap career, you're doing this course because you want to get a job, maybe in oil and gas or telecom or engineering or food or any other health and safety related operation, and you have to now sit down and begin to do some assessment about those careers you want to go into, so that it can give you easy access to the heart of the company. All right. Okay, I have Aku Bright. Aku Bright, do you have something to say? Aku Bright, your hand is up. Okay, thank you so much.
Bright.
Thank you so much for coming. So let me go back. All right. So let's go to risk assessment and let's see what we have there. From level 1 to level 2 to level 3, all we talk about is risk assessment. Whether you're talking about the engineering concept, the administrative concept, the medical concept, the biohazard, whatever thing you're talking about, the food industry, whichever area your own falls into, all we are looking at is risk. All activities we are looking at is identifying the positive risk and giving them a boost, then reducing the negative risk or eliminating them as much as possible. We don't want to have more negative risk, but we want to control the positive risk to have a better result. Okay, so that is very, very important. So now, having said that, all the different courses or classes that we'll be going through from level 1 to 3, you have an element of risk assessment in them. So you come to accident, you have risk assessment in accident investigation, you have risk assessment in fire safety, you have risk assessment in onshore, offshore oil and gas practices, you have risk assessment in the medical, so everything first aid and all of them, everything has its own risk assessment element, because everything we are doing is all about management of risks. All right, okay, so let's go through this. I said I have 12 minutes. So how many minutes? Oh, I have possibly 5 minutes to go. All right, risk assessment, a safety tool which ensures that business risks now gets this difference again. A safety tool which ensures that business risks are identified, assessed, and control measures put in place. Business risks are identified, assessed, and control measures put in place. It is a technique for preventing accidents and e-health, looks at what could go wrong and ways to prevent the problems. A risk assessment provides the basis for enabling actions to be identified and taken to eliminate hazards or to minimize their effects. Identifying hazards and assessing the risks of the hazard occurring allows us to be proactive rather than reactive. So risk assessment places us on the proactive side of the game rather than the reactive side of the game. And that's why in our business plans and in our organizational structures, we always talk about the risks involved in a business. There is no business plan you can submit without SWOT analysis. or risk analysis, or I don't know whichever tool you could use for your business analysis, but SWOT analysis is one of the most essential ones. We also have PEST tool, we have PEST, we have tutorials, and we have the Eagle analysis and all of that. But the most predominant one is SWOT. Now, when you're doing risk assessment, it tells you the problem ahead of time. But in this case, we are looking at the business risks. So what are the business risks we are looking at? We're looking at the operations risk, marketing risk, human resource risk, which other risk? Communication risks, and all of those risks that has to do with the business, all right? Financial risks, mechanical risks, and all of those risks. They are all part of the risk assessment. Now, if you're doing those risk assessment, you're doing those risk assessment not necessarily on operations, but you're doing those risk assessment on every aspect of the business, looking at the business or looking at the organization from the business point of view, not just the operations point of view. The HEMP and GHA, HEMP is looking at the organization from the project point of view. HEMP is looking at the whole process from the operations point of view. Now, the risk assessment is looking at the safety assessment from the business point of view. And I've given a business is a complete system. So it's not operations only, it's not projects only, it is a conglomerate of different activities. Okay, so that's why you have in different organizations, department for this, department for that, department for this, department head of that, and all of that. That's to tell you the different components within the business. But we can apply GHA in each of the operations in each of the departments. All right. Then we can use HEMP in the operations of a department or different operations within different departments in organization. But in the business side of it, we are looking at the profitability. Okay, I think that is the key word I think I will use. We are looking at the profitability assessment, the scalability assessment, the economic viability assessment of the adventure you're going into or you have already. Okay. So it gives consideration to the degree of harm and number of people who may be affected and likelihood of the harm. Objectives of risk assessment: identify potential economic vulnerability. I think I've just mentioned that. Then identify hazardous situations and procedures. These hazardous situations and procedures might be things that GHA might not outrightly take care of. It might be things that the HEMP might not outrightly take care of, but the business risk assessment will have to identify that. And also, please, I want to make this emphasis, and I need you to understand this. You can use HEMP for risk assessment at some level, and you can use GHA for assessment at some level. So both HEMP and GHA can be used for risk assessment, but not on the business dimension of it. Let me give you an example why I said each of them can be used. If you're using a GHA, your GHA is focused on projects and tasks. The project and task are still part of the business, right? Then if you're using your HEMP essentially is looking at how can we recover losses, how can we recover waste, how can we go about this. If you look at it also, it is still part of the business. But if you bring the two of them together, they are not just telling you everything you need to know. So the business assessment will have to go further, or the risk assessment will have to go further to find each and every component. For instance, a typical business has 9 components. A typical business model has 9 components. The risk assessment should go and assess each of the components. But JHA will look at the general overview of the business you want to start. Since it's a new business, it is considered to be as a project. So JHA can give you an overview. Then the HEMP can actually give you some other overview of what other source of revenue can we make from this business model. Okay. All right, so these things are very important, and I need you to understand this. All right. It also provides knowledge of patterns of events and identify critical parts of the operation. as part of the objectives as well, to provide information required to make decisions on whether the levels of risk is tolerable. That is, whether the HSE risk can be managed to a level as low as reasonably practicable, or compare alternatives, particularly in the design phase. Then optimize the use of scarce resources, money, people, and time. Then meet regulatory requirements as well. Now, quickly we'll have different types of risk, and I'm going to mention them. My time is up, so I'm trying to round up. We'll have different kinds of risk. Maybe in the next class, we'll take time to deal with those things. Risk can be classified based on different parameters. You can classify risk based on frequency of occurrence. You can classify risk based on the impact, the severity that the risk comes alongside with. So if you're classified, and you can also classify risk based on the level of tolerance. Okay, so we will look at those risk categories in the next class. Then risk assessment procedure. How do you assess risk? You identify, you avoid, you measure, you assess, you apply controls, then you document and review for further purposes. So identify the source of risk. Then you have to avoid the negative risk. Not necessarily avoid them, but dealing with the negative risk. If you need to eliminate them, you eliminate them. If you need to get them to be insured, you can get them to be insured. Let a third party manage any risk that you feel is too negative for you to handle. We advise that you get a third party. In most cases, it's often an insurance company to manage those risks. Then you have to measure the impact of the risk, then assess the level of the risk. Is it high risk? Is it moderate risk? Is it low risk? In level 3, we'll be looking at risk risk calculations, risk assessment calculations, and we'll be looking at the risk matrix table, and then we'll know how to read risks, study risk, and read through risks so that we can also apply them in our own work environment. Then finally, document and review whatever results you have. Okay, for the sake of level 1, this is what we have as the risk hierarchy controls. When we get to level 2, we have these things also rearranged in another way, the same content but rearranged in another way. So for level 2, we have another level. So for level 1, this is the hierarchy. This is how you should treat risk. That means in risk management, we have the proactive risk management and we have the reactive risk management. So is it that you are dealing with risk proactively or you're dealing with risk reactively? Now, if you look at it, it is going down from the proactive dimension to the reactive dimension, okay? From proactive to the reactive. Elimination is the first one. So when you identify a negative risk, eliminate it. So that's like avoiding the risk, eliminate it. If you can't eliminate it, then you can substitute the risk. Okay, if you can't substitute the risk, then you can isolate the risk. You can go from isolation to enclosure. Then you have local ventilation or the general ventilation. You have good housekeeping, exposure time reduced, training, personal protective equipment, and welfare facilities. So if you look at it very well, the proactiveness of the risk is dropping from elimination downwards, and proactiveness is increasing from welfare upwards. Okay. In our next class, I will start from here so that we can get more understanding about this. In level 3, we are going to learn how to read this risk table and know how to use it to manage safety activities in our workplaces. And I think this is where I will thank you for coming. And then Mr. Rolayo, Dr. Engineer Rolayo, please, can you continue from here? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you, Dr. Banito. It's been good listening to you all this while. We shall continue in this class to the next levels. So please keep in touch with us. Keep with us. Make sure make sure you have clicked on the link that is below to get into our WhatsApp group. Make sure that you are in the WhatsApp group. Lots of communication will be done there. There's more to come. Please, any questions, please quickly answer your questions as we close now. We've got a couple of minutes to hear your questions.
Okay, Uncle Dave is raising his hand. Okay, Uncle Dave, your line is open.
Oh. No, it's not.
Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, he has to unmute himself, yes.
Yes. Please go ahead, Mr. Dave.
Thank you, Engineer Benito.
You're welcome, sir.
It's very simple and very direct. I'd like to know the place of Occupational Safety and Health Administration in HSE, because I've seen a controversy about it in the time past. Yes, of course, I'm also a professional in that particular area. But, there have been a lot of questions that come up, whether HSE is superior or OSHA is superior. I just want to know that. Okay. And then probably the second question is administrative.
Okay.
Why I say that is because I like to know the early time to write the examination. What I mean by that is, now you're talking about, is it immediately after we're writing, or we can defer? After the lecture is done, we can defer to write the examination. We may not have time to write it immediately because of some other factors. I just want to know that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Ewoma Benjamin was asking a question today as regards to Eastbourne. Nigeria was colonized by Britain. So anytime you hear of HSE 1, 2, 3, is a UK property. And since Nigeria was colonized by Britain, that's the one we adopted. But for US, what they have is OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That's US. So if you're going to US, you will hear more of OSHA professional rather than HSE professional. But whichever case, both are the same thing. There is no one that is lesser than the other, Uncle Dave. There is no one that is lesser than the other. Although, if you're going for, it's the same thing, obviously. If you're going for NEBOSH, they will ask you to either have the final level of OSHA or the final level of HSE 3. Okay, you have to get at least level 3 before you go for NEBOSH, or you have some other certifications that could give you the permission to go for NEBOSH, either NEBOSH IGC or NEBOSH diploma, whichever one you want to go. So whether you have OSHA or you have HSE, there is no one that superimpose each other. Uncle Dave, I don't know whether it made sense. Okay, then the second one is administrative. Whether you can defer the exam. The exam is actually 2 weeks after the class. 2 weeks after the class. So all classes are ending by June. So by first week of June to, the last week of June to the first week of July, we'll be writing exams. So maybe, and the exam is online. You can write it with your phone. It's OBJ. So you can prepare ahead of time. All right, Dr. Rolayo, is there any other information we need to have as we?
Somebody wants to know when the lecture is going to hold again. Is there any lecture again? We want to know that.
No, there is no lecture today. The next lecture is tomorrow. Just go to IPMI. Okay, so the timetable link, the CRO said she had sent it already. And also we encourage you to join us, to take your attendance in the WhatsApp group, so that you would have all your questions asked. We'll open the chat room when it's time for questions, and then we can attend to all of that. And questions regarding manuals and the like we said, as soon as you make your payment, just go to IPM store. If you want to visit our website, you could go to the website ipmi.org, go to admissions, go down to COVID-19 offers. Then under the COVID-19 offers, you will see store for the COVID-19. So you could pay for your manuals and then have access to them. Okay, is there any other thing?
Yeah, there were some other questions about people who are asking, are they qualified for level 3 because they've graduated from University of Petroleum, or they did some exams. But anyway, we were going to answer all those questions.
Let's answer those questions in the chat, in the WhatsApp group.
On the chat room, please, on the WhatsApp group. Yes. We'll answer all your questions concerning your qualifications. We won't do that here now.
So we have Tolu Oye. She had gone off. Oh, he has gone off. Somebody was raising his hand.
Okay, it was Tolu. Okay. Okay,
Right.
well, any other questions, please just raise your hands. Please don't ask questions on whether you are qualified for level 3 or level 2 right now, please, because we need to sit down and assess. It's going to be on a one-on-one basis. It's not going to be general, so not a general discussion. We can deal with you on a one-on-one basis. However, if you have any question concerning the lecture, please let us have those questions. Maybe you have any anything about hazards or risks, or risk assessments, or HEMP, or GFA, because Dr. Banito talked about so many things. I'm surprised I'm not getting plenty of questions. Okay.
I'm having Tolu again come up.
Ejiofor has just raised up his hands.
Okay.
Okay, and Tolu also has raised up hands. So, Mr. Jonathan, please unmute yourself.
Mr. Jonathan, can you go ahead and unmute yourself so that we can hear you?
All right. In the meantime, maybe Tolu can unmute himself or herself, sorry. So that's...
All right, Tolu, your line is open. You can go ahead, sir. Yes, please.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
Sir, for us to take assessment, GSA assessment, is there a particular model that we need to follow, or a particular, like if you're writing a proposal, there is a particular method you need to follow. Is there a way we need to follow to?
Yes. Sorry, I got your question. Sorry, I had to cut you short because my time is up. Yes, join the WhatsApp group. Like I said, we are going to upload the templates there. So you use the template for your assessment, right? Use the template for your assessment. We are going to upload the template in the WhatsApp group. So you download the template and then use it for your assessment, all right? Okay, I think we can call it a day from here. There's someone in this class. Let me be sure that he's still here. Dr. Raphael Nyako T. Obu from Ghana. I'm seeing two Nyako T, so I don't know whether the other is your brother or your friend or your son. Okay, so Dr. Raphael, please can you unmute yourself and give us a voice?
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Raphael, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Greetings from Ghana.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And how is the COVID project going?
Oh, by His grace, we are managing. It's all politics in the medical sector. So
we are now looking up to people to solve the problem of COVID. So we are waiting for the vaccine. I read your documentary on the news, and that was wonderful.
Yes. We are making inroads here.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so is Daniel Nyako your brother or your son? Hello?
Dada Nyakote?
Yes. Is he your son?
No,
or you don't know him?
No, I don't know him.
Are you serious? Are you people bearing the same surname? Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So, Mr. Daniel from Ghana as well, you're welcome. Okay, so Dr. Olayo, can we call it a day from here?
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for staying on. All other timetable information, templates, whether you are qualified for level 3 or level 2, all those things are going to be discussed on the WhatsApp chat, please, so that we can have the one-on-one on those things. We can sit down and analyze your position separately. So we're going to answer all those questions then. We're out of time now. We have another lecture coming up, but it's been good having you people on board. Hope to see you. We'll be announcing the timings and the dates on the WhatsApp group. Hope to see you then. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Banito. Very insightful. Always listening to you, as always, it's always good to remind me of all the things I need to know. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for Chidike, Namani, for all the good work you did, and Dixon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wishing
right.
you a very good ahead of you.
Thank you so much. So next class is tomorrow. We are not having any class this evening, so take your rest. We'll communicate on the WhatsApp group, and then we'll communicate also via text message and email. So please put an eye on your emails and on the WhatsApp group for more information. And please, if you're not on the WhatsApp group as we end this meeting, can you just raise your hand? If you're not in the WhatsApp group, can you raise your hand? If you're not in the WhatsApp group, can you raise your hand? Okay. Oh, Aku Bright. Please use the link. Please use the link that has been posted there and join the WhatsApp group, please. Aku Bright.
Yeah, the link has been posted at least 7 times by the CRO. She has just posted it again. Just click on the link. It will take you to the WhatsApp group. You could actually even click on it on your phone or something like that. Get to your phone and click.
Okay. All right. So we're having PMP by 2 o'clock. So if you're interested in joining us in that class, it's free, and you could also learn 1 or 2 things. Thank you so much, and enjoy a wonderful evening. Sorry, Engineer Dixon, I can't go without allowing you to say something. Is Engineer Dixon still here? Okay, he has gone. Thank God. Okay. So see you by 2 o'clock for those of us coming for project management.